Ubisoft invited me to play Star Wars Outlaws, and no, I did not go to Disneyland. I don't think they like me that much. However, what I am going to do is give you an absolutely honest review on what I experienced throughout the playtest, which was about 4 hours worth of gameplay. Then hopefully at the end of this, you'll have enough to determine whether or not you'll spend your hard-earned money on the game. So let's just jump right into all the different aspects. So real quick, just in case some of you don't know, Star Wars Outlaws is an upcoming open-world Star Wars game that takes place in between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And you play as Kay Vess, who is this outlaw that has found herself as one of the most wanted people in the galaxy, and there's a whole bunch of drama surrounding that. Now, from my playthrough, I played missions kind of in the beginning of the game and then also towards the end. So there was a lot of gaps in the story that I was missing, so I don't know if I could fully judge that until the game comes out and I can actually play it in order. Really, just my time was spent going through certain missions that demonstrated different aspects of the game, and then I also just kind of ran around just trying to experience and see if there's anything I could find. Now, I think the most important thing to talk about first is the open world feature. Because when I think of open world, I'm thinking of Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm thinking of Grand Theft Auto. And then I'm reminding myself, it's 2024. The amount of money getting pumped into these games and the amount of technology we have, I should be able to just walk down the street and do whatever I want, whenever I want, and however I want, on any planet I want, in a Star Wars environment. Now, are we going to get that with this game? Let's be real, probably not. So in my playthrough, I did try to put myself in situations where I found random NPCs. I went and tried to listen in on people's conversations and try to push it as far as I could with the limited time I had. The cooler part was the cantina, because in the cantina, you could lean against the bar, you could lean against the wall, and you would hear patrons as they come in and out and their different conversations. And sometimes you'd hear smugglers coming in talking about how they're planning this heist of some ship that has something super special. And you could take that information and just leave while they're getting drunk and go steal the stuff yourself. Now, do I think it will be cool to spend some time going on different side missions? Yes. I don't know if I can fill up hundreds of hours and multiple playthroughs with every different iteration. But again, I only saw 2 planets, so I'm holding out for a little bit of hope. But for the open world feature, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a 6.8. Now, let's talk about the space battles. I put so many hours into Rogue Squadron 2 back in the day. So you put me in space in a Star Wars game, and I am hella excited. I did really enjoy myself fighting in space. During the dogfights, it had that arcade type of feel, which I enjoyed. There's also wanted levels in space too that you can clear out. There was random encounters that would pop up, so you could either get involved or just keep flying. I wasn't able to experience traveling between planets. I was limited to 2 planets in my playthrough. So we took off and then we landed in the next one. So I don't know how that whole part's going to work. I'm not sure if it's going to be kind of like a Starfield way they do it. I will say the taking off and landing animation was pretty cool. You also had to fly towards the planet and pick your actual port you want to go to, and then it just kind of takes you in. Still a lot to be seen here, so I'm not 100% sure how this is going to go, but I feel comfortable giving it a 7.2 for the space battles. I thought it was really fun. Now, you can't have a review and not talk about Nix. Nix was probably one of my favorite portions of the playthrough. He's your buddy, he's a sidekick. You could choose how you want to use him in the game, whether you have him just go disable cameras, disable alarm systems. That way you could go weapons hot and not have to worry about them calling more backup. You could have him open doors for you. You could have him distract enemies while you go take care of other people. Or you could just have him straight up attack people. So I think there was a lot of ways you could use him, or you don't even really have to if you didn't want to. Now, rating this is not going to be weighed as heavily as some of the major portions of the game, but I'm going to give it a 9.4. And I really hope this doesn't come back to haunt me if there's a million bugs with Nix where he's glitching through walls or not listening or the controls are bad. But from my experience, I did enjoy it. Another thing that I want to talk about that isn't a major feature, but I feel like I have to bring up, is the mini-games. These mini-games are what you use when you're trying to hack locked doors and containers, and it pretty much was this sound pattern that you'd hear, and you'd have to tap on your controller or your keyboard and match that pattern. And I'm a musician, so I absolutely love that. I thought it was pretty unique. For accessibility features, they do have a light that flashes so you could match the light in case you aren't able to hear, but I really did enjoy it. Now, this isn't a major portion of the game, again, so just like with Nix, it's not really going to be weighed as heavily, but I'm giving it a 9.6, and that is a little bit biased because I love the music stuff involved with it, but I'm giving it a 9.6. If you're still here, thank you for watching. If you like the video, go ahead and like the video. And if you want to see more honest reviews or watch me stream every different type of game under the sun, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you really are still here, put your favorite color lightsaber in the comments. Back to the review. Now, let's talk about factions, because in Star Wars Outlaws, every time you make a choice, it can impact your reputation with multiple factions. So you can choose to side with one and go directly against another, and then your respective reputation with that faction will rise or fall. There's also things that can happen during the missions where you could choose to eliminate someone or sabotage the mission itself and pin it on somebody else. This can impact your playthrough in a couple of different ways, because if you have really poor reputation with a faction, there are faction vendors that have specific gear or upgrades. So if your reputation's in the gutter with these guys, you're not going to be able to get anything. Also, cities can be broken down into grids where certain sections of that city are devoted to the one faction. They have armed guards, so if your reputation is really bad, they're not letting you in there. And in some missions, you have to go in, so you're going to have to find an air vent or walk around and find a different way in. I think the faction feature has a lot of promise. I wish I had more time to go through and screwing over other factions and really seeing how crazy of a situation I could get into. I think this could also add variety if you do play the game multiple times through. I'm going to go ahead and give the faction feature a 7.3. So another huge thing to talk about are the planets themselves. I played missions located on 2 of the planets. The first one was Tashara, which is a desert planet based on the African savanna. Has a lot of canyons, desert, a lot of criminal activity. The second one was Kajimi, which is super icy, frozen, snowy, cold. Overall, the detail that they put into these planets and the landscape, I thought was absolutely incredible. Now, I already judged the open world portion, so this is strictly just what the planets looked like and what they had to offer. Getting around the planets did seem pretty cool too with the speeders, even though sometimes the speeders kind of get in the way. I think of all the things I'm looking forward to, I think the planet varieties is what I'm looking forward to the most. I can't wait to see just how many they're going to give us, how they'll be able to expand on it, and just how different each planet will be, and maybe that would offer more unique experiences when doing these missions. I'm going to go 8.6. Now, this may seem a little high, but again, I'm not talking about the open world features of the planets themselves. The planets just looked incredible, and they were awesome. So those are some of the major points that I found important during my playthrough. Because I have over 4 hours worth of footage, if there is something specific you want me to expand on, just let me know down in the comments, and I could gladly make more updates on that specific thing. Now, if I had to give the game an overall score, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7.1, and I'll gladly adjust this when the game comes out and I play it in its entirety. I just think that's a fair score for what I have played so far. Now, to keep it short, would I buy the game? 100% I'm buying the game. Would I buy the game if I wasn't a content creator and I wasn't using this game to make content? I think that's where we get into the gray area. I really do believe that the Ubisoft Plus method for this is the way to go. You pay $18 for the month. You could cancel it whenever you want. If you love the game, you could play the whole month. You could play 2 months, and it's still half the price of what the game comes out. If you hate it, you just cancel your subscription, and then you have the rest of the month to play whatever other Ubisoft games as you're going through it. So I'll definitely be playing and streaming the game right here on the channel. So if you did enjoy this, go ahead and like the video, go ahead and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.